fullback, I think it's a more critical position than it was in the past. Firstly, why is the fullback such an important position, and what role does a fullback play in Springbok rugby specifically?
I think in Springbok rugby, it's probably as important as the 10. If you look at the responsibilities given on the attack, where he overrules calls, changes direction when he feels like it, and links when he needs to. So, but I think going back to primary roles, fullbacks need to be able to diffuse high ball threats, cover backfield consistently, and what that means is running without any reward, if I have to put it
Mm.
that way, because you're running at the back and all you're doing is you're taking away kick space options. Once the 10 looks up, when I played, it sometimes felt like some of the 15s and backfield cover, it felt like they were teleporting because you look up and there he is. As you look up this way, next phase, and then he's on the other side. And that's exactly what they do. And I always come back to Willie Leroux on this one because I think that's one of his strengths is taking away kick options. And I think it also comes in because he's such a tactical genius himself. He kind of gets into the mind of the opposition, and he anticipates where they want to take kick space. And obviously, he does his homework before the game, and he knows what their kicking strat looks like and their kicking plays. But I think he gets into the minds and anticipates that really well. Guys like Q and Horn do it really well. There's a couple of guys that do that tremendously well, taking away kick space. And then I think they need to be able to release pressure as well, kicking and exiting, making good decisions from the back. Those are primary roles. Your last man tackling, it's quite important, and the way you can put the pressure back onto teams that's made line breaks. Guys like, I think about the Lions fullback Tapiwa Mafura. I coached him at the Varsity Cup, and he was probably one of the best last man tackling fullbacks I coached because, firstly, 95, 96, 97% of the time he makes the tackle, but he's not done. He gets up and he knows if it's a line break, the ruckers are probably going to be late. So he jumps up and he contests that ball. And more often than not, he turns the ball over. So that's a good example of last man tackling and putting the pressure back on them. And then I think secondary roles are, yeah, counter-attacking roles, your communication, talking to your nine, talking to your corners, ensuring that they know which system you want to implement, and then playmaking. Whereas this is, I think, where South Africa differs from the rest of the world because we place a high premium on our 15s being able to be playmakers and kind of like an extra 10 in our attack.
Okay, now a couple of things that popped out for me there. First one is overrule calls. Overrule whose calls now? What are you referring to there?
So they'll have a certain way of play. They'll have certain movement patterns that they want to follow. Let's say they want to go same side. And what Vili then will do, or what Apalele will do, is they'll keep watching the blind. And once the opponents make a mistake with their fold, that probably overfold, or they get their numbers wrong, they call that blind call, whatever that is. And when the nine hears that call, it's an overcall, it's an overrule call. They have to play onto that side because then they've identified an opportunity going into that side. And with, like I said, with the responsibility that the 15 in South African rugby has, he's also got the power to overrule those calls and pop up wherever he needs to, either with the 10 or going rogue on the blind side and exploiting those opportunities.
But the second thing that you talked about just earlier was homework. You know what? When we do this podcast, we do a bit of preparation. We spend 45 minutes before we started recording, for example, just now. What homework does a fullback specifically need to do? I mean, I know you referred to it briefly, but in detail, what do you think they must be prepared for?
A couple of obvious things you need to know. how many kickers do they have in their team? Which feet do they kick off? Do they kick off both feet? What does their way of play look like in terms of if they catch the ball in their own 40, do they tend to set a ruck, see if they get to the 50? If they don't, they kick it from there. Do they kick immediately? Do they not play in their own half at all? So all those little details help you make better decisions and identify and anticipate what's coming next. And if you've got that, you might buy yourself a couple of seconds too close kick space or too close run space early.
Just on that, which foot the kick from? Why is that important?
Well, if you've got no left footers in your side, and they've got a scrum on their right hand side, it's more of a difficult kick to turn your body into where the pressure is coming from and kick it on that side. Whereas if you have a left footer, you make one pass and he can put it on his left foot, natural arc, and the kick's easier, and which means that the kick will be better and you've got more space to cover. Whereas if the right footer, he's probably going to show that kick a lot earlier, which gives you a couple of seconds to close that kick space. And that's why guys like Andre Esterhuizen with his boot can help a lot. Villy with his left boot, it just gives you extra kicking options.
You talked about Villy a lot now, for example, and Villy is well known for swapping places with the 10 in certain instances, and he actually went and played at 10 for the Bulls for a couple of games. Why do they do that, as a matter of interest?
The differences between, let's say, Andre and Villy is quite distinct. Villy you'll be able to go flat into the line and make that pass, where if Andre is going to the line, he's probably going to look for a weak shoulder, try and get the offload, or he'll go way in and put the ball out the back, where Villy can be flat and play flat, where Andre can go flat, be very physical, and still get rid of the ball, or have an early out the back ball. So I think with Villy there, his distribution skills and his decision making right on the advantage line and engagement line is very good, and I think they want to use that as much as possible.
I wanted to just ask you one thing about a fullback. If you talk about the teleporting ability, and one thing I noticed one day standing with the Bulls when they were coaching, the coaches, for example, were standing right in between the players. And I've spoken to you about this before. How can a fullback see almost have a bird's eye view? Because that's something that they seem to be able to have. Like they're looking at the game from the top, like you said, Villy plays chess. But they're actually on the field and at the same level. How do they see those gaps? Is it something that they develop? Or is it something that they innately have? Or is it something that they can be coached or trained? How does that work?
You got to know what you look for, Envia. If you're talking about on attack, you're looking for numbers depleting on one side. You're looking for corners that get narrow. You're also looking for, you want to see, because he understands his defensive role and system, if he has to make a tackle on the edge, kick space is opening up on the other edge if your wing's not dropping back. If the wing does drop back, it means that your corner is getting more narrow. So somewhere something's got to give. The game's designed to score tries. You've got 15 guys that need to cover 70 meters of space, and you've probably only got 12 guys in the front line with 9 behind and 2 guys at the back. It's designed to score tries. So somewhere something's got to give. And once you understand your role in defensive systems, you know how to look at their defensive system and identify opportunities when it does occur. On the defensive side of things, you look for the same type of thing. Are your numbers depleting? If your opposite side guard or backfield cover has made a tackle, he knows he's got to go cover in behind. He's then got to pull that wing to ensure that they cover the kick space, or if they decide to leave him up because it's in their own half, that'll make a difference. So it's knowing your role, understanding what you need to do will help you identify those opportunities and threats within the opposition side.
The Rugby Playbook, only on Megaphone Rugby.